Okay, so we just got yet another trailer for the upcoming Percy Jackson show that's premiering on Disney Plus in December. It's been maybe a month, maybe a touch more than that since we got the previous trailer, and when that one released, I don't know, I was a little bit apprehensive. It looked good, but it needed to show me something more. I was a little bit worried about it. But then they've gone and dropped this trailer, and my goodness, it is looking good now. Man, I was so worried this series was going to be the letdown of the decade, and yet here we are, staring down the barrel of a genuinely good series. I hope it gets good viewership numbers and doesn't find itself cancelled out of the blue, because if that happened, and it was also genuinely just good, oh man, that would be such a bummer. Please don't let the show fail. The series just won't get a third chance at success, so yeah, like I said, another trailer's out and it's time to go through it. Excellent. So yeah, let's go. Okay, so for starters, the soundtrack. Damn, the soundtrack, it just really sets the scene and enhances the trailer massively. You'll have to see it. Well, you'll have to hear it, I guess. I feel like Disney rarely fails with soundtracks, and of course, trailer music's not necessarily the same as the score, but I think I'm going to be optimistic about this. But anyway, that's just one facet of the trailer. We get a whole lot of goodness here. So first we have a bleak look at the New York City skyline, and I'll admit, I'm a sucker for that sort of stuff. You know, it's a bit contrived, but it's a cool establishing shot, and one that sets the tone of the trailer, and therefore the show, as kind of ominous. Scary. You know, like I said, it is a bit contrived, but it's a really great way to start off the trailer, and realistically to start off the show itself. We then see the outside of the Met Gallery, where the key events of the first chapter, and likely the first episode, are gonna take place. And we get a good proper look at Percy, as well as properly hear his voice. He tells us he's a troubled kid, he has bad grades, gets bullied at school, and then also some abnormal things that happen to him as well. And of course, this all overlays over the top of the visuals. We see Percy up close, and I'll be honest, I'm not on board with the blonde hair yet, but I think I'll deal with it. And I've seen people talking about his eyes, that they look green, which is his book eye color. So people were pretty thrilled with that. But I'm still not 100% sure, because at times they kind of look blue as well. But then at other times they do look a bit green. Maybe they have used some effects to shift the colors a little bit in post-production, but I don't know. I don't think it's to the extent that some people are raving about it online. Moving on, we see that he has a pretty important assignment, 20% of his history grade that he has to work on. But of course he has dyslexia, and so he's struggling big time. In this little montage, we also learn he's quite brave, trying to confront the people that are bullying Grover, his friend, with Grover in turn holding him back from likely getting a beating. And straight up, yeah, this is very good storytelling. It's a great way to start the trailer because you meet the hero, you see what he's about, and they throw things out at you so you can immediately understand who this kid is, what his struggles are, and maybe find him a bit relatable. It's exactly the way that Rick did things in the book, where you get that first-hand look at his problems through his eyes, through his point of view. And it's really well done here. Moving on, we then see our first monster, when Percy's teacher turns into a beastie and attacks him. And I was worried at first that the CGI was going to be pretty bad, but from what we've seen in this shot of the harpy, or whatever she is, I think it looks pretty well done. Obviously this is just one creature, but it does bode well going forward, as obviously this show is pretty monster heavy, and thus it's CGI heavy. Disney's not going to be able to get away with overworking and underpaying their CGI teams this time, or at least I hope not. Unless they want it to look as bad as the more recent Marvel shows have. We then get our first look at Sally Jackson, and man, you can just tell her whole storyline's just gonna make you so sad. Like, yeah, at the end it has that happy ending. But look at her face, it's just so bleak and depressing. The actress is such a good fit in my opinion. Big, sad, expressive eyes, kind of a blank face. I think it's gonna be a really intriguing subplot. On top of that, her narration sort of just sets the scene here, talking about Greek gods and whatnot and how they're all real. And on top of that, there's just more hype shots here. Stuff to draw you in and get you excited for the show. Zeus looking pretty epic in front of his throne. Wish we saw more of the other gods there, but I'll take what we can get, and once again, rest in peace to that guy. We see the demigods running across the bridge at Camp Half-Blood, and once again, I'll be real with you. To me, the armor looks a little bit goofy. They look like a bunch of LARPers. But yeah, I think it does fit with the world. You know, I hope it's authentic, but it just looks a little goofy. We then get a look at Grover with his goat legs and the reveal to Percy that Grover's been in league with Percy's mum the whole time and has been helping to keep him safe, and that he's not actually a human. And this whole sequence, even though it didn't go very long, it really makes Grover's actor stand out quite a lot, just from the dialogue between him and Percy. And I kind of get the vibe that he might be the stronger actor of the two, so I'm thinking that this kid could potential to be carrying the season. You know, a lot of it's just those three together. So hopefully one of them's really good, because, you know, I'm not really convinced about Percy at this stage. It's just an early call, but I wouldn't be surprised. We then get more of a look at Camp Half-Blood, which looks really, really fantasy, like high fantasy. It's not what it looked like in my mind at all, but still looks good. I think I more envisioned it as being more open, less tree density maybe, at least around the cabins. But yeah, like I said, it looks good. We then have our first look at Chiron, and turns out that voiceover I thought was Zeus in the first trailer looks like it was actually Chiron all along. And yeah, Chiron, you got an epic voice, mate. Good work. And he also just looks like a sweet old grandpa. You just want to hug him. And to me, that's exactly the vibe that Chiron does have in the book. That sweet old mentor energy. Peak Dumbledore vibes, you'll love to see it. Also, that scene of the roar with all the half-bloods screaming together, it looks a lot better than they did going across the bridge. Because, you know, they're not all fully armored, they're mix and matching. I think it makes more sense, looks less hokey, just massive Narnia vibes in general there. Love it. We then see Percy in a 3-on-1 fight, and I'm guessing that might be Clarice in the middle there. I'd guess so. Her character is a bit of an asshole. And the fact of the matter is that the other two are in helmets, and Percy and Clarice, I think, are not. So therefore, they're probably just background characters. They don't matter at all. And the action there looks really crazy. Like, was this guy trying to cut off his head? Hope they're wooden swords, otherwise getting a bit intense for a game of capture the flag. I think that's probably that part of the story. I honestly can't quite recall. We then get some intense eye contact from Annabeth as well, setting up the main romance early, which is good, although I think we're all kidding ourselves if we don't think that Grover and Percy is going to be the ship that everybody's running with. Or Percy and Luke, because who doesn't love enemies to lovers? Ugh, no thank you. We then have a shot of Percy in the rain, and him and Grover in what I would presume is the underworld. Bit of a different take on the underworld than I'm used to. Kind of reminds me of the God of War games, really. But I kind of like this colder vibe, you know, as opposed to the classic fire and brimstone trope. We get something fresh here, something that sets itself apart. Next up, Medusa's creepy stone garden, which, damn, looks straight out of a horror movie. I'm wondering how creepy they're going to play it during the show. I really hope they dial up the horror as much as you can for the age rating. I think it would work really well and add that extra fear factor to the quest. Make things feel a lot more dangerous and add some stakes. We then see what I assume is the casino. We have a look at Ares, who I didn't like the look of in the first trailer, but who looks a lot cooler now. I know, seems like I'm being a bit fickle, but I can't help it. I'm loving pretty much everything in this trailer. We then have another godly throne, no idea whose, followed by more horror creepiness. Ugh, what are they? I'm already dreading this sequence, those things are freaky. What the hell is it? I mean, is that in the underworld or something like that? We then see Annabeth and Percy in the Tunnel of Love sequence, and then the Minotaurs attacking Percy, his mum and Grover when they try to escape to Camp Half-Blood. His mum gets kidnapped, and then Percy charges the beast for the cool first battle. Whew. Man, that scene, just the way it's shot in the trailer itself, is promising epicness, so I hope they deliver. Already looks epic in trailer form, but we'll have to wait and see. Oh yeah, this trailer, it's just so good. Everything about it looks so great. My hype for the show, fully restored. Hell, it's never been higher. So, you know, I'm ripe to be disappointed when the first episode drops. Exciting times. And so with all that being said, that's the end of the video, end of the trailer. Now I'll throw it to you guys. What did you think of the trailer? You like it? Hate it? Are you hyped for the show? Maybe not? I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know.